Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Bryan W. Adams.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be joined by my good friend, Tom Ziglar, the CEO of the Ziglar Corporation. And I can't wait to share so much of the things we've been working on with our Leadership Academy and how we've touched so many lives here at Integrity this last summer as we went through really an incredible journey. Tom, thanks so much for being here, brother.
Brian.
Man, listen, you are, Zig Ziglar is like a part of the fabric of America. I mean, it's amazing how many people quote your dad. What was it like growing up at the feet of such a legend?
I tell you what, it was amazing. I tell people I'm like the most blessed human being you've ever met. As good as he was on stage, he was even better off stage. And when we would be out at public or an event, people would come up to him. But they always said, "Hey, Mr. Ziglar, can I tell you how you changed my life?" Oh. And that is like, that never gets old. It's not like a traditional celebrity or athlete where they're interrupting and they just want the autograph or selfie. These are like truly grateful people.
Yeah.
And so just growing up in that environment and seeing Dad's joy in making a difference in the lives of other people. I mean, my sisters are the same way, and that's how I was raised. So
that's a great perspective. Celebrities today, people want a selfie now. I was talking to Steve Young about this. He's like, people don't ask it for autographs as much. They ask for selfies. And they want a selfie to say, yeah, I met Steve Young, or I met LeBron James or Michael Jordan or whoever the celebrity is. But your dad truly impacted the lives of millions. You had a quote, I think. Y'all done some math on how many people you think he had touched.
So we estimate about 250 million.
200. There's like 330 million people in the U.S. So if you think about like the impact of that legacy is truly remarkable. And one of the things that we were so excited about whenever we partnered together on our Leadership Academy was being able to take those ageless, the timeless principles that your dad had, we call the virtues, right? The 10 virtues of really, these things that we can all learn from to become better in life and leadership and so many different ways. And then we took our 5 core values and we created this Leadership Academy. And it's been such a joy to work on that with you, and your team has been just remarkable. And then this last summer, we took through almost 550 people through 5 different leadership academies where it was amazing to be able to take our top leaders through a 3-day immersive leadership training here in Dallas to learn about our 5 core values, to learn about the 10 virtues at Ziglar. And it was life-changing. Maybe I should say life-giving for a lot of us. What was that like for you?
It was amazing. I mean, when I look back, we started in 2022 working with the team here, kind of bringing our values and virtues together on the same page. It was a perfect fit from the beginning. And so we started developing this program, and then we had that first session with the key leaders, and the feedback we got from that was just amazing. Yeah. And we actually changed a lot of the program. I mean, the theme was the same, but how we delivered it, and that evolved into this experience. And then we knew it was working because the second group of 125 who came in, they started reporting, hey, I'm the second person from our office, or the third person. Our leader has really started to lead differently. And then one of the things that we did at Ziglar is every class or every day of class, when it was over, we would meet as a team, and each one of our trainers would give feedback on how each one of the rooms went. And we made notes, and we actually changed the way we taught. Yeah. And so every session got better. But the thing that was the most inspiring was hearing the reports back of people actually implementing and using what they learned during that 4 days of time. Just an incredible. And so when you have a partnership, both partners come in with expectations. And there was this constant level up of, hey, you know what? I think we can do this. I think we can do that. I think we can do this. And so that reiteration was just really incredible. And you can see that.
Yeah, and I think that's what leadership is all about. Leadership is organic. It's fluid. when you're dealing with people, you're not, you don't have like this one thing that you can, do every time, right? You got to, mold and work with them to make sure that you're making that impact. And I can tell you from my experience of going through the Leadership Academy, I'm a big believer is I would not ask anybody to do something that I'm not willing to do. So I was in the first group, and it was incredible. I mean, we had stories in my group where one of the leaders got up and he said, man, I don't know what motivates my team, and my brother's on my team. And I feel so bad. I wish I'd have done this 20 years ago. I cannot imagine where I could be. And then seeing his brother come through and going, I don't know what happened, but something changed there and I need to be part of this. We had another leader that was in our group that had had a dispute for years with another individual who was, they were competitors, and now they're partners, which is, this is an interesting dynamic of what we're bringing together here. And through that Leadership Academy, he had this breakthrough moment, and he went back and at our partner event said, I need to apologize for you. I was wrong to you, and I was wrong. Will you please forgive me? And they literally, I saw it happen. They broke down in tears. Wow. And they hugged for the first time in like 20 years. And they mended that fence. And that is, we're changing lives in a lot of ways, right? And there's so many things that I took back from that. I'll tell you personally, one of the biggest things that I got out of it, I got a lot out of it, but one of the biggest things was, there's a lot of times I step back and I go, man, I have to do this. Like, I've got a busy schedule. Everybody has a busy schedule. And you're like, oh man, I have to do this. And you said, my dad would say that differently. You get to do this. And if you change that one word from have to get to, it changes everything. Man, it has changed my paradigm. It's a paradigm shift in so many ways. And so my boys are really tired of this now, because my boys are like, we have to go wherever, we have to go to church. And I'm like, no, we get to. Like, whenever you change that word, try it in your own life. Just try for a week. Man, it changes everything. It's amazing. How did your dad work that out, right?
Yeah, so I was like the petri dish, right? I was like, he tested everything on me and my sisters.
That's what my boys feel like.
Yeah, and so there's a principle behind that, and that's this: the most powerful story in the world is the story that you tell yourself. So if I have to go to work and I have to get that report done, well, you're going to feel in that have to range all the time. But why do I get to? Because when I do this, it allows me to, and you start thinking benefits, you start thinking the result of. And so I get to go to church, or I get to work on my character, or I get to serve this client. And then the day comes when you see the result of working with a client. Yeah. You see how their life is impacted. Oh no, I have to meet with a team member because they have this issue. Oh no, I get to meet with this team member because we're going to help them grow to that next level. And then one day they walk across the stage and your life is made as a leader, because leaders understand that true joy comes when you help someone else be, do, or have more than they thought possible. Man. And so it wasn't just Dad telling me, it was watching him tell others. And then it was watching him and how he handled things that came his way. He would call after years and apologize to people because he just thought of it. And he's like, did I ever apologize? I don't know if I apologize. He'd call him and they'd be like, you're calling for what? He said, because this, you didn't, no, you don't need to apologize. But he called it ruthlessly honest. He was ruthlessly honest with himself. And it's like every day was, how can I sleep good tonight? I'm going to leave it all in the field. I'm going to do what's right. And if I need to apologize or make amends, I'm going to. My motive is to help that other person. And so we watched Dad do that. One of my friends, he said, how are you doing? This is after Dad passed away. And I said, it's hard, but it's good. And he said, well, what's hard? And I said, the legacy. Because that's like the standard. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I feel this obligation to live up to it. And he said to me, Tom, he said, your dad's legacy is intact. He's gone. It's in place. The only legacy you have to worry about is your own.
Yeah.
And so from a leadership perspective, when we were trying to pass the baton or develop somebody else, I realized what he had told me was what Dad had told me, right? Don't, it's your own legacy you got to worry about. And then he looked at me and he said, your dad walked his talk, and he was a pretty good talker. and it just hit home. So that gave me the freedom to build on my own strengths, which is something that Dad always told me and that I needed to do. And that was one of the things out of the Leadership Academy that I saw from so many people. If there was a foundational thing that really thrilled me, it was that the people came in with the motive to help other people.
Yeah.
And if there was a barrier, it was simply how. What's the little mindset shift change, or how do I change the conversation, or what skill do I need to learn so I can have a better conversation? And when the motive's already there, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so we felt blessed with that.
Man, first of all, it had to be amazing growing up with your dad. Can you imagine getting a phone call from Zig Ziglar from years past and saying, I am so sorry, I need to apologize to you? I mean, that would be just, I'm talking about a memory to have. But it's truly living that out, like walking the talk as you talked about, which is a big part. I can reflect back on our Leadership Academy. So Leadership Academy is 3 days immersive leadership. I mean, it was full throttle. It was deep. It was intense work, important work. And then we had 10 follow-up sessions. And it's amazing. I think this also speaks to people who went through it. We surveyed them and said, what are your thoughts on that? And 99% of the graduates said that it was changing their leadership style. 99%. I know it's changed my leadership style in a lot of ways. And it was amazing. There were several things that we talked about. One was the T-Rex leader. So the T-Rex leader is, if you envision a T-Rex has little arms, big teeth. And so it's a T-Rex leader wants to look at everything, wants to check everything out. It's kind of real controlling. And if it doesn't go their way, they bite your head off, right? And man, part of that I saw in the Leadership Academy was, man, I'm being a T-Rex leader. And like, I need to be better about that. We were in a meeting the other day, and we were talking about one of our leaders who was not delegating enough. And one of our other leaders said, it's because they're being a T-Rex. We just need to remind them of that. In fact, I was in a meeting with Tom Dempsey and Rochelle McReynolds and I think Ann Wood, and we were talking about stuff, and I got frustrated in that meeting. And Tom Dempsey said, hey, bro, you're kind of being a T-Rex right now. And it wasn't offensive. It was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. And we all started laughing, because then you visualize this little thing with these little arms and the big mouth. And it gave us kind of this common language, right? We also went through and did the DISC assessment, which is identifying what type of leader you are, which, man, that's so powerful, because, and we'll talk about that another time, but it's funny, we were in another meeting and somebody said, that person's a hard eye. Like, that's why they're going through this. And it's like, oh, okay, now you can take it from a different way. We also went through another incredible assessment. It's called the Wheel of Life. And for me, the Wheel of Life was really invaluable, I would say. The Wheel of Life is, you kind of have to be honest with yourself, and nobody else looks at these. But it's like a wheel, and so you rank like where you are financially, where you are in professionally, where you are spiritually, where you are physically with your health, etc., and your relationships, and then you rank every one of those areas. And what, for most of us, the reality is we might be doing great professionally. For me, I was doing great professionally. I'm doing well financially, but spiritually, I haven't. I needed to improve upon that. And physically, I think, especially as you're building a business, you're running fast. Sometimes you don't eat well, you don't exercise. And so if you're honest with yourself, you kind of rank these. And then what happens is you may be a 10 business-wise or professional-wise, but you may be a 2 on health-wise, right? And so if you think about this as a wheel, if it's not balanced, it's going to be like a flat tire. It's going to be like boom, 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 boom. And so I was honest in my assessment. I was like, man, like I need to work on a few things. And so I made a commitment. In fact, I made a commitment in August to the entire room. I don't know if you remember this. I was like I have been putting off things that I need to put off. So I went and got an all-day physical.
You're looking good.
And I said, I'm going to start watching, what I eat. And so I downloaded this app called MyFitnessPal. Rochelle's like my accountability partner, which I didn't even ask her to be. Like I had a couple glasses of wine one day, and she goes, hey, that's got 130 calories. You better put that in there. And you've had 2. And I go, well, I've actually had 3. So, but you think about it, right? Before, it wasn't even top of mind. And so, since then, in August, I got up on stage and I said, I was unbalanced. Like that was a very good thing for me to look at and go, man, I need to work on this and I need to get balanced. So I went and got physical. Thank God everything was okay. I was a little nervous because I hadn't done a real physical in a long time. But then I made the commitment. I'm gonna do better. It's taking longer than I thought it would take. I'm not gonna lie. I used to could drop pounds a little faster, but when you're as old as I am now, it gets harder. But look, I'm down about 20. I feel better. I've got more energy. And it's just been like coming back to that, where you come back and go, man, don't be a T-Rex leader. Let's think about how their leadership style evolves. What am I doing to have a more balanced life, right? And there's been so many of those kind of things that, and I know I'm just one of over 500 people that went through that. Another thing we went through, we went through so many different pieces about even living out the values and service, which was amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about the wheel of life exercise and the why exercise that we did. The why came out of the first group. They said, hey, we need to dig into this. But the wheel of life, as a leader, if you have a relationship with somebody on your team and you provide the wheel of life and they take it and they keep it private, unless they want to come to you with it. And then your motive now changes. Hey, in order to have a team member who's a top performer, their wheel needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
And so you start serving them saying, hey, how are your relationships with your family? How's your health? How are these other things going? The kind of like, if you take the whole Leadership Academy and what we taught, we said, hey, if you want to develop a top performer, there's 3 things. What if somebody's experienced a balanced wheel of life, right? What if they're winning in all categories and you're helping them to move towards their higher purpose or cause, right? You understand who they are and what they want, and they're growing. If somebody's growing towards their higher purpose or cause and they have a balanced wheel of life, why would they leave?
Oh yeah, I agree.
Why would they ever go anywhere? And so, but the bigger underlying thing with that is if you're leading people and they understand that those are your priorities to help them be successful in every area of life, to achieve their goals and dreams and to grow and to be more effective tomorrow than they are today, man, that's a life-giving message. And then you back it up by walking out the virtues, right? The things that we talk about. This was probably what I thought was going to be the most difficult thing in the collaboration, which ended up being the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Because when you walk in and the core virtue to start with is integrity, well, let me just say that every virtue falls in the umbrella of integrity.
Yeah.
If you don't have integrity, then all the other ones that are essential never have a chance.
Yeah.
And so it just grew from there.
Yeah, it was incredible. In fact, we have a video for those of you who aren't able to make it, and even for the people who were able to make it. We got a quick video testimonial that we want to share with you guys just to show you some of the things we're talking about.
One of my key takeaways is I've been in the business almost 35 years is there's so much more to learn. There's so much more I can do as a person to be a more effective leader. And this has just opened up my eyes to so many different ways that I can truly be a much more effective leader, at the same time, just be a much more better person.
Integrity is all about people, and the investment in this leadership training, I think, is really going to help us work better together to help develop each other and hold each other accountable to be able to reach the goals that we set together.
I think the biggest value for me was literally meeting with the other integrity partners, and also the impact that Zig Ziglar has had on so many, but to hear Tom spin it in a way that is authentic to him taught us how to be authentic as leaders and to imply that with our employees.
The biggest value of the program was the artful weaving of our values at Integrity, as well as the virtues of Ziglar's corporation and what they were able to achieve in building a stronger bond for us as an Integrity family.
Wow, Tom, that was so special. I mean, it brought back so many memories for me. Man, I want to go through it again in so many different ways. And one of the things we also did was talked about intentional coaching conversations. Can you recap what intentional coaching conversations are? Because I know that there's a lot of leaders who went back to their offices and then said, okay, I want to have an intentional coaching conversation. People are like, what are you talking about, bro? So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, so I'll just give like the quick overview and then share, how it's supposed to work. The intention of an intentional coaching conversation is to really understand, get to know each person on your team, and to keep that relationship building and growing towards mutual goals, right? Towards something that's going to benefit the organization, the team, and that individual. And so there's 5 steps in it. And the first step is we'll find out what each person on your team wants.
Yeah.
Well, if you go into that and I say, Bryan, what do you want? Well, that's really awkward. That's kind of weird.
Man, if you ask my kids what they want, they'll tell you.
I know.
Be careful what you ask for.
We should be. And so what's really is the kids are innocent, and they think, well, if you ask me, I'm just going to tell you because I might get it. Well, as we age and we get disappointed, and a lot of people on your team probably started somewhere else and they were burned, and so people are hesitant. And so in that first step, when we say understand what they want, I might say something. So Bryan, what does success look like to you? Like if this is going to be a great year. And so there's all these questions. So we teach that first step. And then we go a little bit deeper, and it's the why. Why do you want that? Well, that's a weird question too, if you don't already have the relationship. Yeah. And so, Bryan, you said you wanted to be eligible for this promotion or earn this amount of commission or whatever. Why is that important to you? Well, then you're likely going to say something like, well, I can pay off my house, or I can prepare for my kids' college education. And so right out of the gate, I've got a what and a why. And so I like to say this phrase, what takes the weird out of why? So we got to start with the what.
What takes the weird out of why?
Yeah, because if I come in and I just say, Bryan, why are you working here?
Yeah.
It sounds like a bad movie. But if I say, hey, what does success look like to you? And a year from now, if you're really achieving what you want here, tell me what a day looks like. And you start building that. Okay, well, that's awesome. So if you achieve that, why is that? What does that mean to you? Why is that important to you? So it kind of builds in. And then the third step is we look for performance opportunities. So Bryan, you want to be successful. You want to take your position to this level. You need to do this. So what attitude could you demonstrate that would help you to be more successful? What effort could you do? What skill could you learn? And so that's attitude, effort, and skill. That's part of our performance formula. Well, all of business and relationships is about attitude, effort, and skill. Attitude times effort times skill equals performance. But as a leader, what we want to do is we want to ask, Bryan, what attitude do you think you can demonstrate? Because I need to know about your awareness. So if, we talked about DISC and you said a high I, well, a high I is somebody who's very relational, engaging, charismatic. They like to have fun. They're great at conversations. And so if I ask an I, well, what attitude should you demonstrate? If they're aware, an I might say, I probably need to have some questions and listen and maybe have a list of things to go over because I get so excited in the conversation that I might leave something out.
Yeah.
And so you do that with each one of those, and then you say, hey, if we developed a plan together to help you achieve the goal that you want, would you like that? So as a leader, you've just asked your team member, hey, would you like for us to work together on a plan that would help you? Well, what are they going to say? Well, yeah, I want that. So absolutely. And so now the fourth step is we call it co-creating the plan. And so as a leader, I would say, well, Bryan, how are you going to develop that attitude in yourself? Or how are you going to demonstrate that skill? How are you going to change your day so you can have that level of effort? And as a leader, I'm being quiet because I'm hearing what you're going to create. And when it's right on, I affirm it. I say, write that down. That's fantastic. If it's close, I ask more questions to kind of nudge you in. And if you're totally off base, then that tells me a lot too.
Yeah.
Right. And I can kind of give some wisdom because we don't want people to like go off the deep end and crater, but we do want to give them the ability to create their own plan. And here's the two reasons why it's so important to have them create your own plan. Ownership, number one.
Yeah.
And the second one's accountability, because this is the fifth step, which is the heartbeat of accountability. So you create, Bryan, that's an amazing plan you just created. I love what you're going to do and the goals that you have. Can I ask you a question? Is it okay if I'll hold you accountable to your plan?
That's good.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
Because they created it. Well, now every week we have an intentional coaching conversation.
Yeah, and it takes also that awkward out. So you just said, can I hold you accountable to your plan? This is your plan. Can I hold you accountable? And then if they're going to say yes, right? I mean, it's hard to say no to that. And then when you're holding them accountable, going, hey, this is your plan. Like, did your plan change? Like, and then it's like, hey, I'm here to help you get there. Like you said, your goal was to pay off your house. How is that coming? Like, what steps are we making? Like, let's find what your goal is. What's driving you?
Exactly.
And you said your goal was to buy a new motorcycle, right? Or whatever it is. We went through an example of that. Now it's like, okay, what steps? And then let's celebrate that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And this is not like, okay, so day one, we're going to do all 5 steps.
Right.
You might have 5 different conversations over a month, from 5 minutes to 30 minutes on trying to understand what somebody wants and then understanding the why. And so it might take 2 or 3 months to really build this plan and get somebody going. If they're a new hire, they're onboarded, they're brand new, you can do this fairly quickly because it's helping you to build that relationship. If they've been with you for 10 years and you think you know them, like what we had happen,
yeah.
I don't even know what my brother wants.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it's okay. These intentional coaching conversations can range in time. You can do it over coffee. You can do it windshield time if you're out seeing a client or a prospect. You can have an official meeting in a room. All of these things work. Here's the key. Consistency is the key. If every week I know that my leader is going to come to me and say, hey, Tom, how's the plan? How's it going? You said last time we met, you said you were working on this project and you turned it in on Thursday. How'd it go? What'd the client say? What did the team say? Oh, wow, what can I do to help? What barriers do you have that I can help you with? And that builds a relationship based on accountability, trust, the virtues. But the main thing is, if a leader says, I care that you're growing, then that tells that team member, there's a place for me here.
Yeah. Oh, man, that is, and everybody wants to have a place.
That's right.
The other thing we talked a lot about was the power of goal setting. And I'm a big believer that you've got to set goals. And I'm also a big believer that you also need to share those goals. You need to share those goals with other people because of that accountability. Like if there's some great things that prove that if you set a goal and you keep it in your mind, you don't tell anybody, you're less likely to achieve that goal than if you actually wrote it down. And then if you wrote it down and you told somebody like, hey, this is my goal, man, it changes everything because then people are all supporting you in that. And it's something as we're starting off the new year, I always try to think about like, what are our goals this year? I think about that personally, financially, my family, and then certainly professionally with the business. And that's where I think you can really help people understand and help, there's a power of goal setting that helps you like know where you're going, right? And so one of the things we're doing at Integrity is we're launching this new goal setting program in Workday. And it's been amazing having Workday because Workday allows us to do so many different things in such an advanced way. We're launching this in Workday for all employees to set goals as part of the Leadership Academy. Tell us why goal setting is so important and your thoughts.
Yeah, so this quote always comes up, a famous dad quote. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time.
Every time.
And
That's so well said, yeah.
So foundationally, I believe that our lives matter, that every single one of us has a purpose.
Amen.
Right? And so how do I fulfill my purpose? Well, I have to have clarity on the direction I'm going, and then I need milestones and markers to help me get there. If I was going to drive across the country, I would want a map, and I would need to get gas. And if it's, I'm going to have to plan where I'm going to stay along the way. Well, goals are simply the things that get us from where we are to where we want to go. And so we identify a goal, we get clarity on that. And step two, and I'm not going to go through all the steps because when you get into the Workday and you do that program, you will see it all. But I'll tell you, if you've never done goal setting, it'll change your life.
Yeah.
And step number two is the benefits. And I encourage leaders and you watching, when you set a goal, like if you have a career goal and this is your goal, spend more time on the benefits than just about anything else, because we get emotionally excited about the benefits. And the benefit for your health goal, right?
Yeah.
So, most people, I'll be in better shape, I'll have more energy, and I can buy new clothes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other benefits too. You can play with your grandkids on the beach someday. You're not going to have pain in your knees. Yeah. You're not going to be diabetic. All these different things. And you start listing all of those benefits. And the reason the benefit is so important is because life is hard.
Yeah.
And it's going to be crunch time, and you're trying to meet a number, and you've worked 6 nights in a row, and the cheesecake is calling. And so now the battle is between the benefits and the cheesecake. And so what you've got to pull out is that benefit stack, right? Of why I'm staying the course. And so really pay attention to that. And we talk about other things too. The plan of action, this is where collaboration with your leader, with your team, with your spouse, with your family, whoever else is involved, is so important, because you talk about accountability. When there are people that you work with who are essential to helping you achieve that goal, and you bring them in and you say, hey, here's my goal. Here's my plan. What do you think about my plan? Suddenly they start pouring in. Suddenly they're like, oh, well, that week we've got this other thing going. Is it okay if I rearrange the schedule? Because we don't want to interfere with your priority. And when you feel like other people are helping you achieve your goal, then it's not so lonely, right?
There's so much wisdom in that. And people a lot of times kind of cringe or recoil when they hear the word accountability, because it sounds like, oh man, it's a negative thing. It's actually, when done right with people you trust, it's actually one of the most positive things in the world. So, for instance, we're talking about, I got on stage in August and I said, I am going to go get a physical. I hadn't had a physical, like a real physical, probably ever in my life. And it cost money. It was one of those things like, I'm just going to go do it. And then I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to get in shape, right? I'm not really in shape yet, but I said I'm going to lose weight. And I just put it out there. And there was a lot of people that were like, dude, I can't believe you actually said that. But I wanted to say it, because when you proclaim it, I think there's power in that. And then when you let people hold you accountable to that, I knew people heard me say that. And so then when Rochelle, I didn't ask her to be my accountability on this, but when she said, hey, you know that's 130 calories and you've had 2 of them, like I felt known, right? I felt appreciated, like, oh man, she actually cares about, me achieving that goal. And just the other day, she was like, "Hey, looks like you're doing well. Keep going. How's your calorie counter going and all that stuff?" And it really helps when you think about that in those moments where you go, do I need another glass of wine because it's another 130 calories, and I'm already at my max, right? In this goal setting. But I think that there's so much power to that, and there's so much power in that to tell your supervisor, and for me, I tell our board, we're going to hit these numbers. And then we know where the target is. Because to your point, if you don't have a target, you're going to hit it every time. And so you need to have a target and be able to do that. And so with Workday, it's going to allow us all to be able to have a better system to do that. Because if you don't have a system, if it's just in your own mind, then it's hard to do. And so I think as we're so committed to these intentional coaching conversations and really continuing to talk about that and the goal setting process, there's no telling where we can go from here. So in the coming weeks, we want everyone at Integrity, in the Integrity family, to take part in the new Leadership Academy goal setting process in Workday. And we've got a course on that. And we also want everybody to meet with their coach. Their coach leader is their supervisor, and talk about how can we create and co-create, I think that's an important part, a personal plan of action for 2024. And I know that it will help everybody as we sit down and plan. I think it will really help everybody as we plan on that. And the other thing is we're looking for ways that we can tie in the Leadership Academy knowledge and expertise throughout the Integrity family so that we can leverage on some of your skills so we can take it down to everybody there, so that I think that we can, as part of this Workday initiative and some other ideas we've got, there's no telling where we can go if we can all get on the same page. And so soon we'll be sharing more information about how people can set up their Workday goal setting, part in that. And we have big objectives for Integrity this coming year. There's a lot of things that we want to achieve. And I think that if we really build this company, one of my goals is to build this company for the next 50 years. I'm 48 now. I don't think I will live until I'm 98. And if I do, I'm definitely not going to be still here. One of my goals is to maybe not live till I'm 98 because, man, I don't know if I could do that. But one of my goals is to just build an incredible company. I told our board this recently. I said, my goal is not about next, events and next, moments. It's about how do we build a great company that outlasts all of us and do it for the next 50 years. Because I know that would outlast me in particular and certainly outlast most of us. And so there's not many companies talking about goal setting personally, your personal will of life, intentional coaching conversations, investing the money that we've invested in Leadership Academy, because most of the companies are thinking about the next quarter, the next year. They're not thinking about the next 50 years. And for me, this is such an important part of where we're going here today, to really invest in the future, because you have to invest. And you talked about your dad's legacy. I think a legacy is planting a tree that you'll never sit under its shade. And thinking about that, and that's something I'm really passionate about, is like we're planting trees right now. And I think we're planting a forest of them. And we may never sit under its shade, but think about the future generations to come and how many people we can help and serve in the future. Plan for the good days ahead. And so thank you for your partnership. Thank you for all that you're doing. We're committed here at Integrity to taking everything that we've learned all the way down throughout the organization so everybody has these benefits. And we're working on a lot of ideas on how to do that with learning software. We're looking at, could we do even some maybe regional events to where we can bring in some other leaders to learn more about this, because we're just getting started in Integrity. I say that all the time. And I believe that because of things like we're partnering with you on. So thank you so much. I can't wait to see what we can accomplish in 2024 by all coming up with these ideas, our goal setting, intentional conversations, and really helping others live their best life in so many ways. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
I love this. It's just a dream opportunity for us at Ziglar to come alongside in this. And Dad always said this. He said, go as far as you can see And when you get there, you'll be able to see farther. And so every time you say we're just getting started, I'm thinking there's a new horizon that's going to continually unfold that we're going to be able to go in and make a difference in the lives of the people we serve.
I love that. I hope you've been as blessed as I have today and learning from one of the most remarkable leaders I've ever met. And getting to know Tom and the entire Ziglar organization has just been life-giving to me in so many ways, and I know for so many others. And I do believe we're just getting started. We're going to go as far as we can see, and then we're going to find that next horizon. I hope everybody has an incredible week, and I hope you have an incredible 2024 as we are just getting started. God bless you all. Take care and have a blessed day.